The Tuckman model, developed by Bruce Tuckman in 1965, describes the stages teams go through as they develop and become effective. It includes 5 phases: forming, storming, norming, performing, and later added adjourning. In the forming stage, members get to know each other. Storming brings conflict as roles and expectations clash. During norming, the team establishes norms and begins to work more cohesively. In performing, the team operates efficiently toward its goals. Adjourning marks the completion and dissolution of the team. The model is commonly used by project managers, team leaders, and HR professionals to understand group dynamics and guide teams through challenges. It's especially helpful in project environments, workshops, or cross-functional teams where collaboration and productivity evolve over time.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our team reflection on the SS-MINO simulation. In this presentation, we'll be evaluating our team's performance using relevant leadership and teamwork theories from the unit. Each of us will focus on a specific aspect of the experience, from how we launched the team and made decisions to what worked well and what didn't. We'll also explore how leadership was demonstrated and how those behaviours influence our team dynamics, decision quality, and overall effectiveness throughout the simulation.
In the SS-MINO simulation, our team's early actions, particularly Ruben's suggestion to use a point-based ranking system, had a major impact on how we function for the rest of this task. This structured approach allowed us to combine everyone's individual rankings and generate a shared list without initial disagreement. It created a sense of fairness and gave us process to work from right away, which is a key feature of the forming stage in Tuckman's group development model. This method helped avoid conflict early on, as it depersonalized the decision-making process. It also reflected the functional perspective of decision-making, which highlights the importance of systematic evaluation and shared understanding. Everyone's input felt acknowledged through the scoring, which helped establish psychological safety and encouraged continued engagement. However, as we moved further into the task, we realized the scoring alone wasn't enough. We began to openly discuss the practical value of each item in the survival scenarios. This shift marked a transition into the norming and performing stages, where the team worked collaboratively, challenged assumptions, and made better informed decisions. Ultimately, our early structure gave us a strong base, but it was our flexibility and willingness to adapt that helped us perform better as a group. The result, our team scoring lower than most individuals, showed that our process improved decision quality. However, while the system was fair, it didn't necessarily lead to the best decisions. Several team behaviours stood out during the simulation and had a strong impact on our effectiveness. Firstly, we demonstrated collaborative communication. Every member contributed their thoughts and we created a space to explain reasoning. This encouraged mutual respect and built trust, a key condition for team success. It also aligns with Leno's model of effective teams, which includes communication and emotional awareness as essential behaviours. We also had a strong team identity. We were motivated to work toward a common goal and recognized that we all brought something valuable. Even when we disagreed, discussions were respectful, which supported productive decision-making. Importantly, we didn't stick rigidly to our original plan. As the exercise progressed, we moved from relying purely on the point system to deeper discussion, especially around controversial items like the FHV radio and the bottle of rum. This flexibility reflected good stress tolerance as we balanced task pressures with openness to new ideas. Crucially, our group avoided groupthink, which is when the desire for agreement overrides critical analysis. Instead, we welcomed challenges and considered multiple perspectives. This kept our decision-making reflective and logical. Lastly, our team maintained a positive mood throughout. We encouraged one another, shared laughs, and kept the tone supportive. According to Leno, a positive mood contributes to resilience and creativity, which was definitely true in our case. Overall, our ability to communicate, adapt, and support one another not only helped us perform well in the simulation, but also demonstrated what effective teamwork looks like in practice.
One point where our team's behaviour negatively impacted performance in the SS-MINO simulation was the decision-making process we adopted. We structured the activity by suggesting we rank all 15 items first, then discuss them. While this brought order to the task, it limited meaningful discussion about the survival value of each item. Applying the situational leadership theory, as tested by Blank, Wheatsall, and Green in 1990, we can see where the issue arose. The theory stresses that leaders should adapt their balance of task and relationship behaviours based on team readiness and context. We focused heavily on task behaviour, organising and driving progress, but overlooked the importance of relationship behaviour, like encouraging input, building trust, and facilitating open discussion. As a result, we rushed it through important conversations, potentially missed critical insights, and limited team ownership over the final decisions. In hindsight, a more relationship-oriented style, one that would allow more space for open dialogue, would likely have led to a better outcome and stronger team cohesion.
At the beginning of the group simulation, our team was in the forming stage of Bruce Tuckman's group development model. This is the stage where team members are still figuring out the task, testing boundaries, and learning how to work together. To help us get organised, Ruben took the initiative to introduce a point system that allowed each of us to individually rate the survival items. This was a great example of situational leadership. He provided much needed structure and clarity at the time when our roles and expectations weren't yet defined. Once everyone had scored the items, we averaged the results and used those numbers as a starting point for our group discussion. This marked a shift towards shared leadership, where everyone started contributing more equally to the decision-making process. We began to explain the reasoning behind our ratings, and that helped us build trust and mutual understanding, key elements as we moved into storming and norming phases. Although the point system wasn't very discussion-focused at first, it served as a helpful launch pad that got us talking and collaborating. Overall, it was a strong, structured start that set the stage for effective teamwork. If we had the chance to go back, there's definitely something we would change. We'd place more emphasis on open discussion earlier in the simulation, rather than relying so heavily on the point system. While the system gave us structure, it also made the early part of the task feel a bit mechanical and less collaborative. The more meaningful conversations about the items didn't really start until later. By that point, we've already made decisions that could have benefited from more shared insight earlier on. From a leadership perspective, this is where transformational leadership could have really helped, especially through intellectual simulation and individualized consideration. If we'd encouraged everyone to explain their thinking from the beginning, we would have opened the door to deeper insights and a stronger critical thinking. We also could have embraced shared leadership earlier, creating space for different team members to lead in areas where they were the strongest, whether this was in analysis or communication. In hindsight, combining structure with early open dialogue, we've built trust more quickly, improved the quality of decision-making, and likely led to even stronger performance overall.
At the beginning of the simulation, each of us came up with our own rankings for the survival items. Then one of the team members suggested we use a point system to average the scores, which helped us combine everyone's input fairly and avoid early conflict. This gave us structure and made sure every voice was heard equally, especially since we didn't have a formal leader in the beginning. But we only had brief discussions when items ended up with similar scores. In most cases, we just went with the average scores and moved on without much debate. Our approach reflected a fair collaborative style of decision-making. It worked well for efficiency, but because of time pressure, we didn't explore each option deeply. This relates to bounded rationality as described by Albert and Lane, where decisions are made under constraints like limited time or energy. So, even though our method felt balanced and respectful, we may have missed opportunities to make stronger, more strategic choices. There were definitely a few things that helped our team make decisions. First, everyone felt safe to speak up. We didn't interrupt each other or shoot down ideas. That sense of psychological safety really encouraged participation and reflects what Edmondson's described as a key factor in effective team empowerment. We also had a respectful atmosphere where everyone's input was valued, and the point system gave us structure to follow. That system helped us stay on track and manage time early on. But there were some barriers too. One issue was that we were so focused on keeping things respectful that we avoid pushing back on suggestions that may have needed more discussion. Our team leaned more on the numbers than on critical evaluation. We were polite and collaborative, which was great, but sometimes it felt like we didn't go deep enough into the discussions because we didn't want to create tension. According to Goblet and Lane's discussion of bounded rationality, time pressure and mental shortcuts can lead to decisions that are just good enough. I think that applies to us. We had a strong dynamic, but we could benefit more from debate and challenge.
In summary, the SS Minnow simulation gave us valuable insight into how team processes, leadership styles, and decision-making approaches impact group performance. While we had strong moments of collaboration and clear leadership, there were also missed opportunities for deeper engagement and critical discussion. Reflecting on our experience through the lens of leadership and team theories has helped us identify what worked, what didn't, and how we would approach similar challenges more effectively in the future. Thank you.